What's up, fam? I'm a few minutes late. Sorry, I had some more technical difficulties as usual, but I'm on here, man. I'm going solo tonight. My partners are they're busy, doing what they're doing. They'll be back on Monday, but tonight, man, I'm gonna try to carry the show and kind of do what I've been avoiding the entire time, and kind of explain, go into deeper detail why I started this podcast or this platform on speaking on mental illness. When I started this process, man, I told God that I would be 1,000% transparent, about where He's brought me from, what He's brought me through, where He's got me through. And I tried to find a creative way as possible to kind of get it out there, so I'm working on the podcast. We got some content out there now, speaking on men and mental health. We have another episode coming Monday. So I'm excited about that. I did a show last Saturday on Twitch called You're Worth the Butter with a friend of mine named Light Eyes. So, things are happening in this space where I'm kind of getting excited about and nervous at the same time. But it's in a space now where, God has kind of shown me what He needs me to do with it. I still don't quite understand the direction that He has me going with this whole mental health thing and kind of being transparent, more transparent than usual, especially on a platform like Facebook and YouTube, Instagram and things like that, just talking about some of the things that I went through personally. So it's still a little nerve-wracking, but tonight I'm going to try to give y'all a little something different, a little bit more real, a little bit more transparent, and kind of show you guys why the stream leading to the podcast coming soon is important to me, right? Because, yes, I stray from the bathroom, but the bathroom is like my man cave, it's my safe space, with a busy household. After long days, you kind of can only find your breaks in the bathroom to get away. So, the bathroom has become my place of refuge where I think, where I pray, where I thank God, for bringing me through some of the things that I've been through. Try to get closer to Him and just kind of try to think back on some of the things that happened in the midst of my illness. So I tried to make these shows too heavy. I'm still working on that. But right now, man, I'm explaining to you like a little bit of what I deal with bipolar, what I come through. I'm going to show you guys a little bit of the process I go through. So be patient with me. I'm going to play some music in the background, for a minute while we get ready to see if some more people come in. And I'm going to just go ahead and talk about some things as far as dealing with bipolar, what it felt like, my mindset going through all of it, kind of give some insight into the pressure that I put on my family, how they were impacted in a way, go more into detail on why my faith has been so strong, even though my family would never think that my faith was as strong as it was. I was into what I was in. I was into God the way that I was in. I grew up in the church, but I never really, spoke on anything. I kind of just absorbed everything. I sang on the choir, did the usher board and things like that. My mom had me in those type of places early, but I didn't really appreciate it back then. But as I got older, man, I really started to appreciate my relationship with God and really trying to get more of an understanding, especially at the, having questions that man can't answer, especially dealing with molestation, things, just seeing things and witnessing things that you never imagined you would see. That plays an impact on you, right? So I think when we're young, man, anybody, man, when we kind of take things as it is and keep it moving, you kind of don't feel that blow, not realizing that, what you're carrying along that way. And, it's kind of what happened with me. I was strong. I always looked at suicide as a thing where I thought somebody was weak if they did it. That was in my 20s. So that was even with dealing with depression the way I was dealing with it. You know what I'm saying? Like at that time, I thought that there's nothing in this world, man, that kind of make me want to jump out there and kill myself, especially going to hell, right? But then, man, like life just got hard, bro. And it wasn't like hard in a way where you don't try, you don't do anything. I'm talking hard in a way, man, where you give 1,050% effort in everything and it never goes right. You give everything with good intentions. And after going through, the molestation that I went through early on, after having some of the questions that I had with my dad not being around, and some of the things that I witnessed within that space, not understanding and really being confused, it got me to a space where, man, like I felt like at one time the only person that really got me was like my grandfather, Leroy. So, he passed. I had to be like 13 around the time, and that was like the first death that crushed me, man. So, you know what I mean? Like, it was in a space where I felt like I was doing it alone. And I felt like, from my grandfather, the only real advice that I got without judgment was from him, and I was young. But, as you go through, you older, people expect you to know things, expect you to be at a certain place in life. And I felt that. And I felt like I wasn't living up to expectations within my family. I felt like my good goal of being, my good ambition of being a dad early because of what I didn't have turned around and bit me in my tail, and it didn't look like nothing that I thought it would. So, you go through life as I would as a man, like kind of taking these blows and moving on, not showing I'm being impacted, kind of dealing with things in private. And it just got to a point, man, where life got heavy. And I couldn't do the things that I wanted to do because it wasn't humanly possible at the time. And I started regretting it because I thought it felt like the things that I really wanted. I didn't know that it was going to sound like that. I started to regret some of the things that decisions I made. And it put me in a space of, like constant regret. And then as you go on and you keep giving 100,000% and things just steady aren't going your way, relationships ending, evictions and things like that. And going back and living with your mom, then living with your kid's mom family, then living with your aunt, as a man, you start to feel like, you start to feel failure. And then it gets in the way where you start to feel like, man, like you feel inadequate, and all those insecurities you have. What's up, Britt? How you feeling? All those insecurities you have as a man, they come to the forefront of your head. So, a lot of you guys hear my story here and there on Twitch and see me talking a little bit what I deal with my bipolar 2, but my bipolar 2, I believe wouldn't be as bad if I didn't go through the things that I went through. And I think a lot of the things I went through, it was worse because I went through them alone. You know what I mean? So I carried them a little bit more. I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm going to try not to bore y'all tonight. I'm going to get to the good stuff. But I want everybody to understand, man, I'm not in an episode or anything like that. I'm not in a space where I'm down or depressed. I'm in a space where it's a season of challenge, but I know growth is coming. And I'm just being patient. But, I'm not sad. I'm just being 1,000% transparent about where I am. And, the bipolar makes things heavy, but it's nothing that I'm constantly dealing with on a regular basis. I think the one thing that I'm battling now is insecurity, or uncertainty, not insecurity, but uncertainty. So I'm in a space, man, where I'm constantly, talking to God, I'm constantly praying, despite what things look like. I'm almost certain that they go the opposite way, and that God is still working behind the scenes. But it gets tough, right? And this platform that I'm doing, man, is not. I try to not to make it about me, but God asked me to build it by using me, and I hate being transparent, man. So, I'm gonna try to get myself pumped up with this by showing you the process. When I come in the bathroom, I used to sit down and chill out, listen to some music. I'm excited about some of the things that are happening right now in my life, man. I gotta work on the patience of, letting God work. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna say that I was still around the left, but my faith is I can always do it 1,000% strong, right? So, and even though it was tough things, I thank God for just having my mind back. I really do mean it when I say you don't have to give me anything. But it's different when you got goals and aspirations and your family. And you feel a space where, like, 40 years old, right? And it makes it hard to kind of regret, getting sick, and that's kind of like, what I said on earlier on. Once I had bipolar, I was down. I felt like you could put it all time. And it was, it took me years to stop it from just being able to take it. Thanks, Joshua. My bad, bro. How about now? You good, Justin? All right, let's try now. Yeah. Huh? Hold on one second. How about now? Good, we good now? All right, thank God. My bad. So yeah, man, like, I usually sit in the bathroom listening to gospel music, kind of get my mind right. But God has shown me in His life, yeah, that He wants me to, if I can tell you to trust Him, that things are gonna change. Thanks, Britt. Things are gonna change and keep going for, kind of the part of life where I kind of lost optimism towards where like it wasn't nothing but change. You know what I mean? So, once my last daughter was born, man, it kind of woke me up again. I started to feel life again. Still can't hear me? I'm turning it off. You good now? So yeah, man, like after my daughter was born, man, it got to a place where I really started to feel life again because it shook me. My daughter was born a few months early. My wife was really sick. She would have severe preeclampsia, and I was in the space then, financially, I was giving up again because I was looking for work, couldn't find anything, especially in pharmacy because I started off, I was a perfect employee starting out, but then once I got sick, man, the medication and everything just made me inconsistent, and it put me in a space where, they couldn't take a chance on me anymore. So, like, even though I felt well, I felt like I had to go back to work, and I needed to get these things done for my family. It put me in like a worse situation because I would always have like a panic attack, an anxiety attack, which is the same thing, or I would go into like a state of, crying episodes where I couldn't stop crying and stand in front of somebody to have a conversation. I would have pressure of speech, I would talk to you so fast where someone really couldn't understand me, and I talk fast already. So now we're kind of talking circles, but it was in a space, man, where, that all weighed on me in this way of being a dad. And my ultimate goal in life was to be the dad that I didn't have growing up. You know what I'm saying? Like, not understanding, like, everybody go through what they go through at that time. So, my dad is cool. My dad is a great dad, by the way. So it's in a space where at that time, we had our challenges. But it got hard, man, because I was trying to figure out everything on my own. And I didn't have the answers. And I was blessed to be raised by caring women, man, and strong women, man. Like, they get it done. If I need somebody come fight for me, I'm calling them. I ain't calling no dudes. I'm calling them, man. So it's in a space where, they raised me in a way where, but I didn't have a full perspective on what I was supposed to be as a man. So I've always looked at being a man as some weird thing. It was something that, what's up, man? How you feeling, Justin? It was something that you had to be, and not realizing that now it's just you, it's yourself, it's who you are, it's the package you are, it's the man God bless you to be, it's your heart. So I would chase things that didn't matter as far as like working all the time and not being tired. Good man. How your mom doing? I was working a lot, I wasn't getting no rest. I was tired, and then on top of that, I didn't know I was dealing with bipolar disorder. I'm telling you, I was carrying my symptoms for years before I was diagnosed. I was diagnosed 5 years ago. So I'm going through these manic mood swings and these depressive mood swings. I'm hiding it as I'm going through it. It becomes torture on your body, right? And you start dealing with anxiety. Good, man, good. And that beats you up. And then it puts your mind in a space, man, where I can't, it was like a weird psychosis to me. I couldn't do the things that I normally was good at. I couldn't do simple math, like adding and subtracting. It just got confusing to me. And I was going through things with my kids' moms, and I was still in a state of depression because the relationship didn't work out and other things had failed. So it put me in like a tailspin, man. And I just kept pushing and kept pushing and kept pushing. It is, man. It definitely is. But we can carry it, bro. We can carry it. You know what I mean? Like, so, life is hard in general, but adding bipolar to it, like you carrying like some super weight. And then you're in a space where, you always hear people that commit suicide a week, man. These are some of the strongest people I know. And they just got to a space where they couldn't take it no more. They can't take this pain too long. And the pain that I talk about, it's a torture pain, man, where you constantly are being reminded of what you're not doing. You can be doing everything right. You can be doing things that look amazing to other people and look like it couldn't get done in a lifetime, and you still feel like you're not nowhere where you need to be at. You know what I mean? So, like, and it's not as simple as, you can change the way you think. It's a whole chemical process. Man, you've been doing it, bro. You carry it well, dog. You suffer well, man. But you ain't I know your personality, dog. So you be fighting, man. I'm proud of you, dog. I'm proud of you to see how far you came, Justin, for real, man. But no, man, like it's like Justin say, man, it's a torturous pain, and it's nothing that you can heal from, right? So you gotta kind of choose the lesser of two evil, and it's nothing you can predict. You can't wake up in the morning and tell you if you're gonna be in a good mood, or if you're gonna be sad, if you're gonna be happy. You can't really manage panic attacks or anything like that because you really don't see them coming. You can't kind of. It's hard to gauge mania sometimes when you don't pay attention. And these things, when you talk about the media, they talk about them as you're going crazy, you're deranged. But a lot of times it's just like energy, like a lot of like force energy making you just want to go until you can't go anymore. And then you hit like a plateau where you just fall flat and you just fall flat into nothing but depression. And those phases can last for like weeks amongst each other. So when I was first sick, when I got really sick, I didn't know what I was dealing with, man. I was dealing with those phases and those episodes. They were coming like, it was weird, probably like once every 2 weeks or every 2 or 3 days. It wasn't any control to it because I didn't understand the emotions I was feeling. I didn't understand what I was feeling. I just felt like I just didn't feel well. And I used to ask God all the time, like do everybody feel like this? Like this can't be real. If everybody felt like this, would be a lot more people like dying. And then I turn around, I look one day, I'm like, no, it's a lot of people dying from this, and it's something a lot of people are suffering from, right? But let alone life in general, man, to make you kill yourself. Not just bipolar or mental illness. Some people don't want to go through the same beating over and over again, for the rest of their life. So when you're shown early on that, this is what life is, and you experience like as a child, your good intentions being used for your weakness, and then you see how life is, and you work in hospitals, and you see kids and developing relationships with them, and they passing away from cancer and things like that, man. It puts you in a space of, you like, man, what is life about? Like, my life is sucks. I'm watching this father cry about his son passing away. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying a 13-year-old boy coming to the trauma, shot up 13 times, and I'm hearing about, dads, they're like, we in a world, man, where things are just depressing. So I'm looking at the way like how nobody else is feeling like this. And, everyday life, men are growing up in, or we in general are growing up in a space of in a traumatic situation where, life itself is traumatizing. You have to live in a state of survival mode where you have to figure out where your bill is coming from the next day. So, or figuring out how you're going to get clothes for your kids and things like that, man. Life is traumatizing for people, let alone having a mental illness. But some of the things that we go through in life, it exacerbates our mental illness. So that's why I'm doing this platform. This is why I'm going against everything I believe and not talking about anything, because I know what that pain is. I know what that darkness. So if I'm on here and I'm only talking to 1 or 2 people, man, it's in a space where I'm like, hey, man, like, you're not alone. And like, no, what you feel is real. Like, you're not tripping. Your brain plays tricks on you, man. Your brain is so powerful. And it's a blessing to not know what that feels like. To not even imagining what someone could be going through to do that. You know what I'm saying? Or to want to consider that. And, it's in a space where I want to do something, man, to make a difference and what somebody's feeling. Let them know, man, that pain is so deep. Like, you can't feel that alone. You're not going to make it. Like, you can't feel that alone. You got to have hope. You got to know that God is real. You got to believe in the universe or something, man. And you just got to swing from one monkey bar to another to get to a space where you find out, like, this is the good part of life. You know what I'm saying? Because even though you're suffering, there's still good points, good things going on in life, but you miss it when you get into that darkness. And it's a space where it's hard to come out of. And I was talking to my wife the other day, man, where people don't recover from what I went through. People never get off of medication for what I went through. And that's why I tell God to this day, like, man, I don't care if you do anything else for me. Just thank you for giving my mind back. But, that's me. And on the other side of it, I'm a dad, so I want more for my kids and my family and things like that. So, like I said early on, starting over at 40, man, getting to a point, even though where I'm at 0, it's pressure. And it does play on the bipolar. And you have family that's dealing with their own, health issues and things like that, where you worry about those, but you got to focus on getting other things done, and you feel like it's a life is a constant pull. And when you have something like bipolar, it makes it difficult, to manage that pull because you feel everything. And some days you'll get up and you'll get everything done, and the next day you won't do nothing for the next 3 or 4 days, like nothing. You can't explain it. You can't you can't make yourself get up. You just gotta realize where you are and work through a process of getting you out of that space quicker. But it's weird because it's like, no, I gotta get up. And thank God I haven't experienced that in the last 2 years. And my therapist remind me every day that like I'm not like I talk like my bipolar has the best of me. I have the best of my bipolar. And me saying that is you have to know where I was and know where I was at. You have to know me. And it's only a few people that know me. It's my wife, my kids, and my mom, my grandmother, my aunt. But you have to know where I was to kind of understand why I'm in a space of appreciation now, and just I don't have like my original plan in life is not my original plan. It's not my plan anymore. Like my plan is what I feel is God's plan and what He wants me to do, and that's why I'm at this space where I'm just talking so boldly about the things that I went through. And I'm not there yet when I'm fully able to express myself clearly, but it's coming, I promise. Right? And it's so tonight's show, man, I wanted to kind of give an inside look on what I deal with depression, what I deal with the anxiety that I have, the how I manage, being a dad, and to make people understand, man, it's not simple. And these people that do these things are everyday people. They just as strong as you are. They just get tired, man. Like if you don't know that weight, then just be thankful and thank God and ask them, hey, bro, can I help? You know what I'm saying? Like I think what happens in that space, man, when we get into that space, we're not familiar. We're not familiar with ourselves. So I know I don't look familiar to my family. The only person that really recognized something was wrong, like I said before earlier in one of the shows, man, was my wife. And thank God she didn't take it as a way where I was losing my mind. She just noticed something was wrong. And it was God to be in a space where I had my mental break, or I was about to have it, to the point where I was about to crack again. She was in nursing school learning about psychology. What's up, Aunt Annie? See, I didn't call you your nickname again. But no, she was in a space where, she was taking a psych class and she was learning about mental illness. She came home one day and she mentioned it to me. But she had mentioned to me probably like a week after my coworker had came to me and told me that she was concerned because her dad had bipolar and that I was talking in circles and she wanted me to get checked out. So I fought it then when she told me, when my wife came home and told me, I kind of kept it in my mind. But, like I said, me not understanding what I was dealing with early on, I didn't understand the emotions. I didn't understand the feelings. I didn't understand the fear that I felt. I didn't understand the intensity of some of the fear that I felt. And my fear scared me because I'm a person, man, where I don't want to hurt nobody. I really don't want to hurt nobody. I don't want somebody else's mom to miss their son. I don't want somebody's mom to get into a space, but I was constantly put in that position growing up. And it ate at me, man, to the point where, like, when you realize, like, it's people out here where you can mind your business, man, and somebody try to take your life for something simple, just in everyday life, walking through Baltimore or just enjoying something, out and, with your people, man, like it puts you in a different place of fight or flight. So then you moving towards going through some of those things, man, and moving to a space where I moved from the city to Montgomery County. And although it wasn't the expensive part of Montgomery County, the education was different. So the way it was presented was different. So that messed with my, my confidence and being able to learn. So I always felt like I was a special ed kid. You know what I'm saying? So it got to a space where when you constantly going through these things and just fight or flight, it's constantly getting set off and constantly triggered. And you start to pay, not really knowing how that works on your body, and then not knowing how, like depression works or what it is or what it feels like. It puts a weight on you, man, that you're carrying for, like, it's a heavy load, man. And then, like you said, like I said early on, like some of the decisions I made to kind of get me to a better better mental space being young, they kind of came back and bit me in my ass. Like I love my kids to death, but I really wish I would have waited because I understand the benefits of understanding and maturity. And on my side, like so it's in a space where, that's why I do what I do with talking to my students and mentor, man, because some of the things that I went through, I could have been prevented. And it's at a place where now, man, like I don't have any regrets. I don't have any sad feelings one of the things that I went through, like me being molested, don't really mess with me anymore at the forefront of my mind. I think the biggest thing that bothers me now is like me wanting to be the father and the husband that I want to be, right? But not getting a chance to do that. And it's in a space where like I'm not suicidal, man, but it gets to a space where at the same time, knowing what I'm dealing with, I can't say that there's a point in my life where something tragic happened to the people I love and I wouldn't be in that space. Just off of how that mental illness works and this mental illness works. So it's in a space where I have to protect my mental. You know, I actually laugh when my wife get mad because I don't respond to things the way she do, but I can't. You know, I can't panic. I have a sensitive fight or flight. I have a sensitive a reactionary portion of my brain that responds to, you know, when things happen. So I have to think things through, and I thank God for having that ability with what I deal with. Like I said, I'm gonna get into some of the physiology of how these mental illness work and how it impacts your brain in a second. But I want to kind of give you an idea of what I deal with. Like, it's not a place of constant depression. It's not a space of psychosis when you're talking out of your head. It's not a space where you don't know what you're talking about. You're not always in an episode where it's coming out in a way where somebody would notice it if they didn't know you. You know, for me, it comes out in a space where I start to worry, or, you know, for realistic reasons. You know, like worrying about, you know, let's say for something getting evicted, or let's say things where, you know, it's a situation where you wouldn't naturally be worried in. You know, like my senses are a little higher. So I have to breathe. I have to talk to God. I have to get into a space of prayer. I have to do these things. And you know, I learned that through dealing with the things that I was dealing with, you know, going through my PHP program when I was admitted to the hospital. But, you know, people that deal with these things, man, aren't really sweet people. There's a chemical imbalance and something they're dealing with mentally that they have no control of. And a lot of people don't know that, you know, there are different types of depression. My depression that I deal with, having bipolar, is more manic depression. You know, within that space, I have to, you know, to be diagnosed with that, you have to have at least 1 week of mania and, you know, deal with depression, you know, quite more often than, you know, regular depression, right? So, which comes every now and then, or comes seasonal and things like that. But with the bipolar, what makes it hard on your body is that you go through a series of depression, and then you get a spike of energy. You get a series of depression, and you get a spike of energy. When it's not controlled, that you're constantly going into I'm alive, I'm woke, I'm dead again. That meme you see, your body is constantly going through that, and you're trying to hide it, right? So it's bad. Early on, before I could control it, I had to take medication because I didn't understand. I was totally against medication. I was on like 6 or 7 different medications just to get to a space where I was able to process life again. And, you know, I was embarrassed about it. And the things reminded me in life why I should be embarrassed about taking the medication, because I was assumed to be, you know, like an addict. I was assumed to be drinking on the job and all kinds of things, man. Like, you know, I heard people telling me I look bad, and it was in a space, man, where it just messes with you because you're not outside of your body. You still know what's going on. You just, what do you call it? You just, not depressed, but they give you money to kind of compression system to kind of make you chill out and things like that. So you're sedated. You're basically sedated, right? But you can function. And that makes you not be able to feel things like love. It makes you not be able to feel like happiness. Like, you can't feel joy. So I got frustrated with, you know, with going in a space where I had to reimagine the things that I was dealing with. You know, what I felt about people. And it wasn't that I didn't want to feel it. It was just like you just lose the feeling. Like you still love who you love, but you just lose that feeling that you feel when you love somebody. And it's worrisome because you lose that edge on everything when you're on that medication, right? Like for me, it messed with, you know, what I was able to do, you know, sexually as a male. And it did it for years. And it got, you know, with medication, it wouldn't even work, you know, the opposite direction. And that played on your mental as well. So the things that you go through to kind of get through your mental illness, it doesn't help your psyche if you have a weak psyche. If you have a weak mental, it doesn't help. If you already have a space where, and I'm not saying weak in a space where you're not, you know, it's not justified. I'm saying weak in a space where you just can't take anymore. When you're dealing with all those different angles and you constantly hearing these things in your head about yourself, and you're constantly reminded when you wake up, when you go to these things, how much you are not. And you just had a space, man, where you just like, man, I'm done with this, Lord. Like, I done seen what I needed to see. I done seen a worst of a lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it puts you in a space where you just like that's the other side of life. And then you know, the crazy part for me, man, was like, even though I was in a position where I've seen a lot of crazy things, like, you know, some of the things, you know, I guess some of the people that you would see doing some of these things, man, they always gave me that vulnerable side. They always said and rap to me, and I always wondered what that was. And I realize now that it's me understanding life, man. Like understanding sometimes why people move the way they move. Man. Almost every situation, everything happens for a reason. And when you're dealing with something like mental illness, man, you don't know how you're going to react. And if I wasn't diagnosed until 35, how many other people out there going through the same thing, but they don't know what they're dealing. They don't know what they're feeling. They don't know if it's normal. They don't know because they won't talk to anybody. So that's why I'm out here talking on this platform the way I'm talking. That's why I'm out here ranting what I'm doing right now. I'm gonna try to give you another side of it, bro. Like I said earlier, depression, regular depression, the experience is only periods of sadness and depressive moods, right? It doesn't come as quite often as being manic depressive. Depression comes in a way where you get seasonal, grief, different ways for depression, right? But manic depression, you're dealing with depression. Like I said, you're dealing with depression in the mania more rapidly, or you're dealing with it in some sense at all. Depression can last for weeks or months. Mania can also last for weeks or months. And when you're in a space where you're going through that cycle, it's torture on your body just naturally, with your heart rate increasing, your breathing increasing, and your fight or flight response always up and alert and ready to go like this. Your brain and your body isn't meant to be in that space all the time, right? So, there's studies that show like depression really does impact your brain. It physically changes your brain, and one of the areas that is impacted is the gray matters volume, and it's the GMV. And in that area, it says that they're shrinking due to the hormone cortisol impeding the growth. Excuse me. I don't like this. I don't like reading on internet. All right, here we go. So it says that GMV is caused by parts of your brain shrinking due to the hormone cortisol impeding the growth of the brain cells. Horrible, right? I promise it's gonna get better. So that's something that you can't control, man. Where like there's a part of your brain cells aren't growing. Your brain isn't operating the way it's supposed to fully. So you throw other things on depression, like the anxiety and how anxiety affects your body, man. Like anxiety also has an impact on your brain, and it causes the amygdala to intensify. And the amygdala is a place where it kind of controls how you react to certain things, to kind of let you know if you're in a space of danger and things like that. So that gets inflamed. It starts causing all kinds of other responses, man. It also leads to structural degenerations, impaired functioning, and it leads impaired functioning in the parts of the brain that are important. So then you start to see how psychosis comes into play when you have someone drinking on top of that, smoking on top of that. Like, yeah, that kind of thing is a temporary fix, but you playing with fire when you playing with this stuff sometimes, especially when you're in the worst of it, because you don't know how your brain is going to react. That's how you get people chopping people up or doing something crazy, but we don't know what these people have been battling their entire life to get to that point. That's the scary part. You know what I'm saying? Like with anxiety, there's 5 different types of anxiety. There's generalized anxiety disorder. You have panic disorder. You have post-traumatic stress disorder. You have PTSD. OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. So, and then you have social anxiety disorder, and all of these things play a different part of your body and have major impact on your body. And with anxiety attacks alone, man, depression makes you feel horrible. Depression makes you feel like that you're sick all the time. It makes you feel like your back hurt, your body hurt, you feel pain. When you're sick, you're sicker than what you normally are. So you're in a space where, man, like you don't want to feel like this, but your body is legit telling you that, no, this is happening, this is going on. You're dying in a space, right? So with anxiety, man, you're dealing with things like panic attacks that naturally happen to your body, right? And these things, you deal with panic attacks, right? And you deal with anxiety that actually causes depression. So when you're already dealing with depression, you have anxiety on top of that. Imagine you're fighting a 2-fold battle sometimes. You lose your libido with anxiety, you get extreme fatigue, severe headaches, you're irritable. Some of the things I deal with is like an upset stomach, muscle aches and pains. So sometimes you'll be in major pain, like it's not normal body aches. I played sports growing up, but these body aches that I felt then had me laid up. And it was all because that's what's happening within your brain. And, some of the, with anxiety, it comes with a somatic response. A somatic response to the space where, it's kind of like you reaching out to touch a flame. and you automatically jump back without making yourself do it. These somatic responses are the same way. So when you have an anxiety attack or you're having a panic attack and you think you're having a heart attack, you can't control that. It's in a space where you can't control when you're going to have it. I've had anxiety attacks when I was crawling on the floor, and when I was teaching high school, years ago. And I had another one when I was working in the pharmacy. And these things that brought on by extreme stress. These aren't your everyday stressors. These aren't knowing how to cope in life. You don't know how to cope when you're in these places. Nobody can know how to cope with the amount of emotion that I was feeling at that time. So I thank God when I went to the hospital, I was ashamed and I hated it. But while I was in there at the same time, I really did. I asked God, what am I supposed to see here? When I went into the psych ward, the first person I seen was a nurse, and I told her, like, Miss, I'm not crazy. And the first thing she said was, sweetie, I know you're not. You just need to take a break for a second. You need to take a load off, get your mind right, relax, take this medication, sit on the bed for a little bit, go to these group sessions, and you're going to be all right. But at that time, I couldn't believe that. So it got to a space where, I was on the medication started to work, I was well rested, my wife and my social workers and the staff, they did a great job in coordinating my care when I came home, and coming home, going into a PHP program, which allowed me to get more intense therapy for 30 days, about 6 hours a day, Monday through Friday, and kind of learning what I was dealing with. And within that space, I learned my emotional intelligence. And I kind of learned, some of the things that I had no idea that I was dealing with. I had no idea what I was feeling. I was learning that, okay, this energy that I'm feeling it's worry, I'm scared. This, that like this lowness that I feel, this weight that I feel, this is sadness. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I didn't understand, like, I didn't have a concept of those emotions. I heard of them, I talked about them, but I had an actual concept of how they actually felt. So, and I blame that on that part where I kind of went into that space of just being a man. Just like, all right, if I'm a man, I'm going to take this. I'm supposed to take this. I'm supposed to keep moving, taking these punches. But man, it just got hard for a minute, man. And some of my friends that I know that have bipolar, they struggle just as much as I do. And it's not in a space where you struggle to be in a space of, oh no, life is over, I'm done. It's more of a space where you just like, no, I feel heavy today, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be in this space. I'm irritated today, I don't know why. I'm not mad at anybody. Why do I feel this way? And then processing that in a way of where you just feel like, no, I'm scared, I'm nervous. I don't know how to say this. I don't know if I can say this to you. And it's in a space where, that turns into a whole nother feeling, no other way. But, I thank God. Stop calling me Mr. Smith, Nene. It's like 15 years later. What's up, Nene? But nah, man, like, I appreciate that, Nene. Thank you very much, man. Yeah, but nah, man, it's in a space where, like I said, I thank God that I'm not in that dark space, and I thank God that storm is over, man. That was a scary place for me to be as a man. So while I'm able to show you guys the bloopers and I'm able to talk comfortably and stutter with my reading, I read nothing like that in person. It's me knowing that God has a purpose for me and that I trust him with whatever, he got going on for me, the same way I trust him to get me out of that space. And that space, man, like, when I tell people that God spoke to me or speaks to me, that think I'm just talking about a space of an episode, or I'm having an episode, but it's not in that space. It's in a space where, man, like, no, I've been in spaces where I didn't hear God at all. And, my job was to stand through that. But, getting through that darkness and listening to him and moving when he tells me to move has always been on time. And just him reassuring me throughout my darkness and letting me know he was there and letting me know he really did exist. When I got to a point when I didn't have that faith anymore, he sent me somebody that comes from the same faith structure that I have to make me not do it. You know what I'm saying? So, even after that, being in a space of anger and not wanting to live anymore and feeling like you literally are ashamed when you're in a space of depression like that, man, you want to leave the house. And it's not because you don't want to go anywhere. It's like a social anxiety. It's like a space where you don't want nobody to see the bipolar on you. You don't want to go to your kid's birthday party and the people that have known you all your life, express the difference they see in you or the displeasure they see in you. Like, it's not a space that you can be weak and go into. And, like, some of the friends that I've lost, man, like, these dudes were strong dudes, man. They kind of sometimes step forward and said what they were dealing with and some of the struggles they were having with their addictions. And it was always used against them, whether it came to their kid or whether somebody was putting them on blast, man. And every time I see that happen, man, I cringe. And that's one of the reasons why I hate social media, man, because we put each other's weaknesses out there, man, for other people to laugh at. And people are really out here suffering and trying to get help. But also may been ashamed to voice what they're going through. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, like it was a point where like literally like I had nobody I can go to and talk because everybody had felt like I was different in some way, or I wasn't myself, or I was some type of no good man at this point. The only person that really ever seen that was my wife. The only person who ever believed that I was going to be okay again was my wife. You know what I'm saying? Like she kept everybody off me, from my family, from her side, just kind of giving me space to breathe and kind of get me through it. She reassured my family that used that strong faith in me that I was going to be okay when they didn't see it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so knowing that, it kind of puts you in a space where dealing with bipolar, why I regret it so much, because it's like, bro, that's not me. Imagine wanting something so bad and striving for something. You have no control of what's happening and you lose everything. You know what I'm saying? Like the pursuit of pharmacy school, you lose the good jobs you had, you lose everything, man. And all this stuff is supposed to be the answer to you taking care of your family. So when God puts you in a place where you have to truly trust him, when I talk about, I made a post earlier when it said, keep your faith, because that's the only thing you can have sometimes. And that's all I had sometimes, man. Like I didn't have nothing, but God told me it's going to be okay. You know what I'm saying? So you don't know how low you have to be to feel that. You don't, as you get into a space where people always tell you, like, you're so happy, you're always in a good mood, or you're such a great spirit to have around. Like, you don't know what somebody has to go through to show that. You know what I'm saying? To make somebody else not feel in that space and to understand when somebody's having a hard time. Like, I hated that I could almost empathize with everybody, man. And it's in a space where, like, I thank God for it too, because it allows me to see the world in a different light and what's talked about at the forefront of social media and the media today. Like, you don't see a lot of people that care, but nah, I'm gonna get that person that care. You know what I'm saying? Like, you see Kanye West on TV, and you see them talking about AB getting mentally checked, but no, it's everyday people out here dealing with these type of things. They're living normal lives. They fighting through some tough stuff just to do simple things on a regular basis. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, it's just a space now where I think like now mental illness is getting more attention because of what's happening after COVID, but I don't think COVID, started anything. I think COVID showed what people was already dealing with, and then just slowed things down to the point where people actually had to deal with them. So, and you start seeing things like depression. You start seeing the increase in kids killing themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody thinks about like what these kids are feeling to get into that space where they killing themselves in elementary school. You got kids out here feeling like, life, death is easier because life is harder. And you got to think about like, what are they experiencing like to get there? What type of music they listen to have them always in a depressed state, to have no hope. And if you get the youth feeling like that, everybody knows the youth is our future. You know what I'm saying? Like, so what are we destined for? Sad kids that are turning to suicide, for the answer, or drugs or alcohol, or, they snapping on somebody out of anger and killing somebody, man, or making decisions out of survival. Like, you never know, man. Like, the way things are going with this is getting scary. And so that's why I push for better healthcare when it comes to mental health. That's why I push for, that's why I work with the PHP, man, and try to get these kids in front of a therapist. That's why I mentor. That's why I coach. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's different things to do to kind of make sure kids don't go fully through what you went through, because a lot of these kids are going through it. Like adults are stressing out. Like if you're stressing out, energy is transferred. Your kid is stressing out, don't even know why he's stressing out. And then on top of that, stressing out what they legit stressed out about. You know what I mean? So, but they're stressed out about. So, I'm gonna keep talking about these things, man. I'm gonna keep making sure that give insight on what's going on with mental health and mental illness, or what I deal with. Like I said, I'm not in a space where I'm depressed and I'm sad all the time. It don't work like that. It's in a space where it's more random. It's in a space where when you're dealing with something like bipolar, it's more random, and you're already in a space of worry you off of what naturally happens in life when, as you're getting older and as your family getting older and you have health issues and things like that going on, you just have to learn how to carry the weight. You just gotta have a purpose, man. You just gotta make sure that you have a reason. You just gotta keep pushing. You gotta get up and you slow it down. Every time you fall down, get back up. It doesn't matter how many times. If you're an addict, man, you keep falling down. You fall down 15 times. You out of rehab and you back in that joint. Like, so what? Get back in there until you're good. But put the effort into doing something about it. If you keep having episodes in your mental illness and you can't get it together, man, like, go get the medication, go get help, go see a therapist. There's answers to the things that we're dealing with. So, I'm about to go ahead and end it on that one, man. This was a tough show for me to do. I don't like being this transparent. That's why I started so bad. I'm gonna come back and try it again. I might delete this off of YouTube and everywhere else, but for everybody that stepped in there, man, I appreciate the support. I'll see y'all on Monday.